G. So I start with 0 psi G, and I want to compress my gas from 0 psi G to 30 psi G. William, what is the compression ratio? How much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. I think that's about right? You convert it to psia, so 30 plus what? 14.7 divided by 14.7. So that could be about 3. So that kind of thing you should know. Let's continue what we have left last time. I already showed you all the theory related, all the equation, and equation is given. And one important thing is horsepower. Okay. So let's review a little bit. I give this equation on the first page, on the second page of the exam. It is more likely than not for this to be in the exam. 51% or more for this thing to be in the exam. Okay. So Scott, Curtis, now you will be able to tell me what is what, right? The explanation is given. Let me ask you this. If I have 100 psia at the suction, I compress it and it becomes 300 psia, and I compress it again, it becomes 900 psia. Scott, what is the compression ratio per stage? 3, right? When I use this equation, do I get horsepower of each stage, or I get total horsepower?
I'll say total.
So what do you want to put for P1? 100 and P2 900? Is that you want to put over there?
I changed my answer.
Or you change your answer? So this is per stage, right? Horsepower per stage. So this is a horsepower per stage. If I have two-stage compression, you have to do this twice, add them together, and then that is horsepower per million standard cubic foot per day. Very easy, right? And the equation is given, you should be able to do it. Do you like closed book or open book? Closed book? Closed book is generally easier, and you don't have to print everything out. Think about this, if you have to print all the chart, it's going to be nightmare. Isn't it? All the chart is a lot, okay? And it's too much work for me to, I have to wait for someone who don't know how to do it and try to study in the exam room. Okay, we talk about all of this. So next part, we talk about the theory, and I show you compressor, right? Good thing with centrifugal compressor is it delivers a lot of volume. You know all that, right? You know how many throw, you know the difference between Paul Everett. What is the difference between number of acting and number of throw for the compressor? Single acting is same as single throw, one throw.
The acting is tells you how many directions the piston is compressing. It's a double acting, it's compressing
Number of compression per one crankshaft revolution, right? When we turn it one time, how many times that we have compression? So double acting means it compresses both ways. Number of throw is number of that, number of blades coming out. Okay. So you know about acting and throw. Number of stage. By now anyone gets confused about number of stage for the compressor? max stage. How many stages we can have? The chart go up to, this is the chart between brake horsepower per million cubic foot per day, and that's a temperature, and my chart has 1 stage, 2 stage, and 3 stage. Okay, so I would think it's about 3 stage, but maybe 4 stage. Or as much as we need, as long as the compression ratio is about 3 to 4. Okay. You see all this, right? The part that I am emphasizing on is integral engine compressor and the separable one. Separable one is high speed. This one is low speed compressor, right? This one is low speed. Low speed require thick foundation. Okay, low speed have a longer life and it is more expensive. There's a low speed compressor. It's required fuel rate. We talk about that. Okay. Rotary vane. Rotary vane need clean gas. Okay. Rotary vane need clean gas and it is PD type. Helical lobe can handle moderate amount of liquid. Okay. Handle dirty gas because there's no metallic contact with the casing. So in between we have lubricant oil. Okay. That's screw compressor used in VRU. Centrifugal compressor used whenever we want high flow rate. Okay. And it's not for low volume, high compression ratio. Okay. Not for low flow rate application. We talk about that. Okay. This part, calculation part, for the next Thursday. On next Thursday we still have class. Okay. We have class from 11 to 12:20, and in the evening we have the exam. And I won't talk anything about the exam anymore. I'm done talking about the exam. Are you not done? Please ask me questions right now. It's clear enough, right? Very good. Okay, calculation of the compressor, how do we size it? Number one, we need to know what is the discharge pressure. What is the suction pressure? Discharge pressure, most of the time it has to match the pipeline pressure. Okay, suction pressure is the pressure that we have. For the case of VRU, we have 2 ounces, right? 2/16 psi G, and we have to plus 14.7, convert it to be psia. So in compressor calculation, PS has to be psia, PD has to be psia. And you can put number of stage, you may put compression ratio per stage equal to 4. Okay? So let's say I have to compress the gas from 0, or maybe, okay, let's do 15 psia to 60 psia. Then I can do what? 1 stage, right? But if this is 150, what do? You put the number of n over there. N put 2. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You put the compression ratio per stage equal to 4. Okay? And how many stages do we need? If you put the compression ratio per stage equal to 3, how many stages do we need? So if compression ratio equal to 3, if you get something like decimal point something, you know that the number of stages has to be integer value. Whole value cannot be 1.5 stage. No, we don't have 1.5 stage or something like that. So you round up. Right? Once you round up, then you do the calculation again. Brake horsepower, there are quick approximation, which is this equation 22 multiplied by compression ratio per stage. Okay, multiplied by n, number of stage, multiplied by F, multiplied by QG. F is allowance for pressure drop. So 1.08, 1.1 for single, 2, and 3 stage compression respectively. Yes.
So would you go with a
Different equation give you different value. Okay, this one give you a quick approximation. I did not give this equation on the exam, so you don't use it. You use the isentropic horsepower. I asked you to calculate that. When you do this, the quick way is to use the chart. Okay, and use this equation. This equation is fine. Is it going to be that very accurate? No, but it gives me order of magnitude. The method, how do we handle any of this? So first we need to know discharge pressure. We need to know suction pressure. And by ourselves, we guess how much should be number of n. If you put n equal to 2, compression ratio is maybe 10 or something. It's not 5, it's too much, right? And if you, whatever n that can make us per stage between 3 to 4. So we select that n. Okay? We select that n. Got it? Put n value until compression ratio per stage stay between 3 to 4. So F is allowance, so that is in this equation for brake horsepower. Okay. Q is the flow rate. This equation is the same. Give me the same thing as the equation that giving in the exam, but the one give in the exam it require more, if you recall. So this one just number of stage, okay, compression ratio, flow rate. The one give in the exam require K value, okay, temperature at the inlet, okay, base pressure, compressibility factor. It requires more information, so this one is more accurate. Okay, this one is quicker. If you calculate two methods and the value is very far away, this means something is wrong. Okay, it should close, same order of magnitude. Yes.
Explain the difference between isotropic horsepower and brake horsepower.
Can you add that now?
And
Can you add that discussion now, please?
or hydraulic horsepower. For example, when you specify a pump or a compressor, you'll calculate the horsepower of fluids going through the machine. But to get to a brake horsepower, that's what you're going to have to buy. That's the size of the prime mover that goes on the machine. And so there's efficiencies that have to be taken into account as how that prime mover and the compressor are coupled together, or that pump and the motor are coupled together. And those efficiencies have to go through there so your brake horsepower will be higher than your hydraulic horsepower or your isotropic horsepower that is calculated through that machine. Right?
Everyone hear him? Yes? Brake horsepower is the actual one that the machine has to deliver. We buy it based on that value. Okay? The isentropic horsepower is a theoretical horsepower that the actual one has to be more than that. Okay? So the isentropic horsepower is just the theoretical horsepower. More question?
The equation that you just showed for PHP doesn't take into account the efficiencies to get PHP, so it's really not PHP. I guess it's approximately.
Brake horsepower rough approximation. Okay. So you give me a brake horsepower rough approximation. I think later on I have full brake horsepower calculation. Okay. I actually checked this equation, compare it with the isentropic horsepower. It is almost identical. The only difference is this time brake horsepower is the actual horsepower that we need to buy. We need to specify that we have eta. Okay, that eta is polytropic efficiency. We have that efficiency thing over here. So this is the full form. Okay, but I didn't include this in the test because we haven't reached this point yet. So I use that one instead. Before I go this, So this is a quick way to do brake horsepower approximation. Brake horsepower is the actual horsepower considering the efficiency and the horsepower that we will need to buy it for. This chart tells me overall compression ratio on absolute pressure and brake horsepower. Okay, so if I have compression ratio of 3, single stage, then the brake horsepower will be that much. Okay, so this is a brake horsepower per flow rate. So 3 to 4, that's what the value that we are looking for. Okay, and it has two parts. The first part is about, you see this thing, this part is about horsepower. Okay, and this part is about, these two lines is about interstage cooling. So the first part, this graph, you use this axis. Okay, good. The second part, these two lines, we use the same thing but different unit. Okay, 1000 BTU per hour to cool the gas back to the origin suction temperature. Okay, so we have two parameters, W bar minus W bar, and this one is, so this is a horsepower per million cubic foot, right? Use this axis. And another parameter which is 1000 BTU per hour to cool the gas. It shares the same thing. So actually we should have two graphs, but they combine it together. Maybe it's easier. We don't have to print too many, but don't get confused. So if I want to know the brake horsepower, I have two stages. Okay, and I have compression ratio of 4. I go up, I read my K value. Hey, my K value is almost 1.4, so I can read the value. Hey, I should use about 100. Okay, brake horsepower per million cubic foot per day. Okay. Oh, next I want to do the temperature calculation, the cooling capacity calculation. I have compression ratio of 4. I go up, 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 up. Hey, if I have 100, I don't have 100 line, so I draw a new one. 100 Fahrenheit at suction temperature. If I do the compression, how much heat do I need to remove so that I can go back to the initial state? When I do the compression, the suction temperature is 100 F, right? It will go up, 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 up. But if I want to come back to 100 F, how much heat do I need to remove? So I read it. Hey, this is about 220,000 BTU per hour to cool the gas back to original suction temperature. So there are two information on this graph. Good. Specifying a compressor for the approximation. For the flow rate, MMSCFD, depending on what kind of service. Booster, gas lift, flash gas, vapor recovery unit. We may have the flow, so vapor recovery unit is for 0.1 to about 2 million cubic foot per day. Booster is for 100 million cubic foot per day. So this gas lift, so this is a typical value. What do we use? If I have gas lift, maybe I have roughly that much horsepower, okay? And I use high-speed separable compressor. If I use centrifugal compressor, maybe that's for the case of more flow rate. So this table is not to memorize, but it's a guideline. Okay, what should be the horsepower? If I want to do VRU, and I have about 1 million standard cubic foot per day. So the guidelines say compression ratio should be about 3. I should have about 2 stages. And approximately my horsepower may be about 150, 143. And I can use most likely screw compressor. Got it? It is a guideline. If your calculation far away from here, maybe it's a special case or something. Okay. More accurate method to get discharge temperature. You have this equation already previously, but this time, instead of Z1, like in the theoretical part, I have eta. Eta is 1 for reciprocating compressor, 0.8 for cylindrical compressor. Same thing that I put over there. Okay, it's not like that. So that eta will tell me if I use receipt unit, what should be the discharge temperature. I need to know suction temperature, compression ratio per stage, okay, K value of gas, about 1.3 or 1.4. Put everything in, and if it is reciprocating compressor, I put eta equal to 1. Okay, then I get discharge temperature. So I don't need to read this chart, right? I don't need to read the chart. Recommendation for discharge temperature. It should be lower than 275, maybe 250 to 275. 200 F is too hot, okay? So we don't want the discharge temperature of gas to be too much, so that we avoid the lubrication, the lube oil from degradation. Lengthen the life of the compressor, okay? So if I have too much compression ratio will make discharge temperature to be too hot, right? Too hot, if it is more than 300, it may burn the compressor, okay? And it will degrade the lubricant oil. So we need to keep it lower than 250, if possible. Okay, good. A more accurate method for BHP. Previously we have 22 multiplied by something, right? This one is the same as the one I put on the exam sheet, or the isentropic horsepower. The difference is that eta. 1 for receipt unit, 0.8 for centrifugal compressor. So we have the number. Z compressibility factor average. It is very difficult to get Z average. Do you know why? Z average. Who can help me with that? E1 Gracia. E1. How do I get Z average?
You would just take C at both temperatures.
Both temperature and pressure, right? So I need to know temperature and pressure of both gas, average them together. I have to open the chart twice, correct? So that's make it difficult. The rest, just plug in the number carefully, then we get brake horsepower per stage in unit of horsepower. After I get brake horsepower per stage, I add them together and then I get total brake horsepower. If I put it at more elevation, put it in the mountain, okay, or somewhere not close to sea, so not at the sea level, so altitude, depending on altitude. If I go higher and higher and higher, I have to multiply it with some number, okay, the D-rate multiplier. For example, 1.17. So this is for elevation correction. Alright? So I get the brake horsepower over there. I multiply by this depending on where I put the compressor. A little bit more on K value. I have starting from 3 and go up. So this is molecular weight. Okay? And air is about 29. It's over there. Okay. So K value, they said for natural gas, it go from 1.3 and up. 1.3 is kind of for the methane. Can it be higher than 1.3? Can it? Can it be 1.4? Based on this chart. Depending on what we have. If we have carbon dioxide, if we have nitrogen, right? So it can be more. You remember that? This is for natural gas. But inside, if we have something else, like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, it can be 1.35 or something. And K value, as you have seen previously, is dependent upon temperature and pressure. Right? Okay. If we want really good value, okay, total horsepower is the summation of the horsepower in each stage, and plus some pressure drop for interstage part. Okay. Why do we have pressure drop? Anyone want to tell me? Glacier? What was it? Ivan Glacier. Why do you have pressure drop in the compressor? Where does that come from?
Maybe due to-
Pressure drop, yes.
maybe due to friction.
Friction. What else? Just the friction? Frictional pressure loss is going to be that much. I think there's a accelerational pressure loss. Every time that there's a bend, okay, elbow, 90-degree elbow, or sudden expansion, sudden contraction, there's an accelerational pressure loss. For example, I flow like this, then I bend 90 degree. I have pressure loss every elbow, right? When it go into separator, it suddenly expands. So that has additional pressure loss. And when it go after the separator, it have sudden contraction. Sudden contraction has another pressure loss. Those things is accelerational pressure loss. It's not quite frictional pressure loss term. So everything that we put in the system, we have pressure loss. And look at the aerial cooler that we have in the back. It's very big, right? So it have some distance go there, and it have elbow, it have bend or something. It's going to be some pressure drop. We approximate it to be 3%. Okay, 3% loss of going through cooler, scrubber, piping, everything between actual discharge cylinder and actual suction of the next stage. For example, first discharge equal to 100 psi, but when it reaches the second suction, the pressure drop to 97 psi. Good. This is we want to do very accurate method. Okay. Summary. Compression ratio should be less than 5, preferable to be from 4 to 5. Okay. After, if it is too much, compression ratio per step total is too much, we may need to add more number of steps to reduce the compression ratio. Okay. And temperature, discharge temperature should not be more than 300 Fahrenheit. Okay. If the discharge temperature is too high, this means we don't have enough number of states. Okay. We may need additional cooling or something. You will do more in the homework, yes.
So on the previous slide, we talked about a compression ratio between 3 and 4, and now you're saying 5. Is that something different, or is that?
This one is total. Okay. Total. Per stage, stick with 3 to 4. 3 to 4. Okay. And overall compression ratio should be less than 5, but the rule that is more strict is 3 to 4, I think. Because if it's go more than 4, it's going to be too hot. Okay, here's the actual compressor. We have a suction scrubber, but we need valve. Okay, we have suction scrubber. It go to pulsation bottle. Actual compressor. Another pulsation bottle. Pulsation bottle is to remove any pulse, okay, to not have the unit shaking too bad. Okay. Without pulsation bottle, you have reciprocating motion. It will make the unit vibrate too much. So we have pulsation bottle. What I want you to take a look at is suction throttle valve. That valve, okay. And we also have flare valve over there. So maybe we have SDV, what is SDV? SDV shutdown valve. If we shut it down, we take it out, do some service. We can open the flare valve for a while, right? So we don't need to close everything, okay? Recycle valve, where's the recycle valve? Recycle valve is this one. So after all the compression, we need, in VRU, we recirculate the gas. We open the recycle valve. So this will help everything after the cooling. So it go back to recycle valve. So if the recycle valve is open, then the gas that is already compressed kind of expand again, and we keep doing it. So with the recycle valve, I don't have to turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, right? So if I don't have enough gas, I turn it off or something. No, I don't do that. I use a recycle valve. And there's a flare valve installed upstream of the suction valve. Flare valve helps to prevent suction pressure to become too high. So if we have too much come to the compressor, a lot of volume comes to the compressor, I remove it through the flare valve. Suction pressure throttle valve is to help with the flare valve, create some pressure drop, okay, throttle valve before it go to the compressor. Next part is about piston displacement calculation. When we have piston inside the the receipt unit, we have to calculate how much is the actual piston displacement. Okay, this slide shows you how to do this, and next one is about total throughput, load, and at the end there's a calculation example. You will probably read it through and do some homework on this. Okay, it's quite a lot, but I show it step by step, or maybe we talk more about that next time. Here I have last minute, 1 more minute. Okay. Anything else for the last 30 seconds? You want to go? For my time, last 30 seconds. Anyone want to confess? Maybe sign the name on either the first sheet. Otherwise, please go. Thank you.